Hello and welcome to Challenge 8 of the 2022 Holiday Hack Challenge. We're going to start the process of recovering the web ring. This is the toughest one to get in my opinion. The first couple of challenges will serve as a sort of preparation for the last challenge for this ring, which is gonna be pretty difficult. But let's get started with the first challenge for this ring. Alright, we're going to grab some of the hints for this. If you get started on the web ring challenge, they will tell you that we should visit a Sparkle Red Berry in the Tolkien ring for hints for the first one here. And this challenge, which on the Discord server was dubbed as Boria PCAP mining, will consist of smaller challenges here, 4 questions tied to the same data set. But let's teleport quickly to the Tolkien ring first and talk to Sparkle Redberry here. Let's just select him. So this is actually a hint, I think, that we missed for the Windows event logs, but there you go, in case you needed hints for that one and more for the Windows event logs. I think I totally forgot about this one, but hey, we managed to solve this one without the help of the hints, but that's where you can get the hints for that challenge as well. And then we finally going to get our first hint, I think. It should, or maybe I already got. Let's see. Built-in hints. Maybe I need to talk first to the challenge. So let's do it in order. Web ring is where we're going to have Buster Snowball. I'm just going to select that dialogue. So this is a challenge. Oh, look at that. Well, I'm not sure what I misread here, but apparently we don't need the hints that we just obtained. Anyways, Alabaster gives us the first hint, and there's also a link to these artifacts. It's a zip file that consists of a PCAP file. It also contains a log file, so this is a web server log. We're going to use both for solving the challenges. And one thing that we have here is, let's see, a hint. Now for real, there's a hint for the first challenge here. Know the IP, so the victim web server IP address is communicated to us, and there is a link on how to get the Wireshark talkers, in case you're interested. This is an easy functionality, and the challenge itself is asking you to provide the naughty IP address. So which one is it? And for this, they give you the hint that you should look for the top talker. Now, even looking at the logs, I think you will be able to just kind of have a good feeling about it. There's one IP address that kind of reoccurs here, and there's one point in the log file, I'll just zoom out a little bit so we can move faster, where you see requests coming purely from this IP address, so kind of suspicious. Going for login.html, wonder what that could be. We don't have the body part for the post requests in the logs, but looks pretty bad. And then if you want to follow along with the hints, what you can do, let's go to statistics, conversations, and look for the top talking IP addresses, either by packets or by bytes. you will get the same result, which is this IP address here. So same thing that we saw actually here in the log. So let me just copy it from there. And then we're going to submit this for the naughty IP. And I think all the hints are coming from Alabaster at this point. So for the next challenge, they are telling us that this login.html could be a good start. And you can search for a string. And the challenge is asking us to find the first attack of this brute force login and what is the first username that the attackers try. Now, we did find the first, or potentially what looks like the first attempt against login HTML, but it's a post. So what we need to do at this point is, let's close this one in Wireshark. What we need to do at this point is go after the PCAP file, and we can do a simple filter here. We can do something like HTTP request and source IP. This one, we can also filter this down to just posts. So HTTP request doesn't matter, I believe. Equals post. We'll filter this even further, and you can check the timestamp here, 16:46:41, and then this one is same, so we're at the right spot. And the good thing with the Wireshark backup details is that for post requests, you also going to see the forum part, and we have the username here, which is Alice. So this is for the very first packet here performing this brute force attack. The answer is Alice. And we got our second question out of the 4. So we're going to get a hint, and this one is telling us about status codes. So with forced browsing, or I just like to call it like enumeration or brute forcing of like potential files and folders, you're going to see a big spike of 404 messages, and you have to look for 200 codes to identify the successful requests for resources that do exist on the web server. So the question here for 404 for the win is to get the first successful URL path in this attack. Now, for answering this part, the log itself will be kind of tricky. So we can search for 404, and we're going to find it over here. But the problem is just trying to like eyeball things here is a bit cumbersome because we have other IP addresses sending traffic to this web server, so it's a bit annoying. But we see a bunch of 404s and there are a lot of requests. So a bit more scalable approach is to use something like, let me just zoom in a bit, something like this. Oh, okay, probably have to zoom back out. Anyways, so I'm going to grep for the known bad IP address in the web server log. I'm going to look for get requests because we saw a bunch of get requests over here. And then I'm going to also look for 404s, and I'm just going to look for the very first event here. So this is the very first get in this brute force attempt or forced browsing attempt. And if we want to see the last one, we can use tail. So only within 2 seconds, we have a lot of requests generated. But we're not interested in 404 messages. We're actually interested in 200. So either you can filter for 200 here, or I'm just excluding 404s. And we have a few hits here. Now, you might feel tempted to take some of these here, but be aware that the attack started at this moment and stopped 2 seconds later. So the ones that are actually within the time frame of this attack are these two, and the challenge is asking for the very first one, which is /proc in this case. That's it. Easy peasy. The last one is going to ask you to look for abuse of the IMDS. This is the Instance Metadata Service, and only appears twice in this PCAP. Now, you can use this information over here, but what I did was going back to the log, and I sort of just started browsing these. Now the challenge name also helps you a little bit. Because, this is also mentioned in the question, they do refer to XXE, so XML external entity type of attacks. And you do see traces of XXE attempts from various IP addresses. This one is fetching Etsy password, which is kind of problematic. And eventually, we're going to bump into this. We see here the attempts, or actually not the attempts, but kind of the step-by-step abuse of the Instance Metadata Service. This is something that is used by all the different cloud providers. This one, based on the looks, I'm kind of guessing here, but looks like the AWS one. And the Instance Metadata Service can be used to interact with resources when you're a resource, like when you're an EC2 instance and you want to talk to like an S3 bucket or something. Yeah, you would need an IAM role, and by leveraging the Instance Metadata Service, you will be able to query information about yourself as an EC2 instance, and it will also have credentials to authenticate and interact with other resources. And this is what we see here. So the endpoint here for the Instance Metadata Service, where you will be able to see the credentials, is going to be latest metadata identity credentials EC2 security-credentials, and then the name of the IAM role, which in this case is kind of unimaginative. But this will return an access key. All right, so this one here, secret access key, and a token. These are actually credentials that if you take them out and put it in like an AWS CLI, and you define these as environment variables, you will be able to kind of impersonate that given resource. So this is a big problem. And this was obtained through XML external entity. I completely forgot what was the question here. They want the URL. All right, so the URL is this whole thing. Now you have to be careful because there is this line wrap here. I do have this one saved aside. I will just copy it from here. So you need to make sure that the line wrapping here does not get into the way. There we go. We solved the challenge. And look at the wonderful achievement. And we are going to talk to Alabaster for our next task within this ring challenge. Overall, I really like this challenge, very realistic, so just like the token ring challenges, I think this is something that you as an analyst will encounter very, very often, and I really liked solving this one, even though it's just a quick like warm-up challenge. For the things will come next with the next two challenges. Those are pretty tough ones, so stay with me and check them out in the next videos.